Welcome back to another video. My name is Kara Michelle and I'm here to help you live your truth. And today we're working through A Course in Miracles. We are on chapter 2, part 6, lesson 13. And I'm super excited for everything inside here. So let's get going. Okay, so part 6 is called Fear and Conflict, and it's just really powerful in everything that it's sharing about the mind and the levels of fear and how fear creates this confusion and keeps us from really being in our full power. So it says, this is a really great way to explain things, but it says, you would not excuse insane behavior on your part by saying you could not help it. So why should you condone insane thinking? There is a confusion here that you would do well to look at clearly. You may believe that you are responsible for what you do, but not for what you think. The truth is that you are responsible for what you think, because it is only at this level that you can exercise choice. So often we are making excuses for our actions and for what has happened, and making excuses for our thoughts as well, and the limitations that our thoughts bring about. And it's funny because I was talking with one of my co-coaches within my programs, one of my team members today, and we were talking about labels and how society does this big thing with labels around labeling you with anxiety or with extreme whatever, or like people who are like, oh, I've got generalized anxiety disorder. And it's like, what does that even mean? And like, not to downplay that, but I mean, I would have been classified had I actually gone to a doctor for it. I had extreme anxiety for years and years. So much so that like constantly my mom was trying to calm me down, and she was always worried I was going to end up with ulcers because I was so nervous and stressed and anxious all the time. But now I'm not, and now my mind is free and my mind is positive, and the anxiety like rarely comes, and if it does, it's for a small moment and I handle it and it's gone again. And the thing is had I classified with that label, or had I been labeled in the first part, I would have attached to that, because that's also what our minds like to do, is they cling to things. So I would have held on to that and identified with that and believed that that's who I was. Instead of being in a place where here, why am I choosing to condone insane thinking? Why am I choosing to allow anxious thoughts to run my life? Why am I choosing to allow my thoughts to constantly tell me I'm not good enough, I'm never gonna accomplish what I want, I should just give up, right? Why am I choosing to allow my thoughts to focus on the negative of every situation instead of being grateful and seeing all the amazing things I do have? It's focusing on the lack. All of those are things that we are choosing to allow our minds to do. So it comes down to the power of the mind and what you're choosing to focus on. And I know some of you might watch this and you might question it or doubt it. And I know I used to as well. And especially when you're in a place with a lot of anxiety, it can be hard to see that it's possible to live another way. It can be hard to kind of take a little bit of accountability and realize that it's just habits and pattern thinking that's keeping you there, and it's not actually who you are, and it's not who you're meant to be. It can be hard to distinguish that at first, and I get that. But it's really important to realize that we do have the power, and we do have the ability to change our mindset, to reprogram it, to really create these new positive patterns that are going to empower us and move us forward. So you are responsible for what you think, because that's the place, that's the only level where you can exercise choice. So really it's saying you cannot separate yourself by just like saying it's automatic behavior. Oh, that's just how it works. Oh, that's just, and like that's what society does. And again, I was so guilty of this too. Even when it comes to procrastination or fearful thoughts or being bad with remembering things, being forgetful. If we tell ourselves, oh, I'm just a forgetful person. Oh, my memory's so bad. Oh, sorry, I forgot about that again. Those are patterns, those are habits, and we're continuously telling ourselves that that's who we are. We're attaching and identifying to that label. But if you start to do the opposite and go, hey, I remembered to do that, or yeah, I have a great memory, or I'm very focused on what's going on right now, or I'm focused at the task at hand. You focus on the positive side, or and you start to create these new beliefs. Well, your mind is going to start to listen to that, and it's going to start to send new signals to your body to match that. So that is the premise around changing your mindset, changing your life. You have the power to tell yourself any story and you can believe it. But most of us are telling a story that's really limiting, negative, and fearful. That's why A Course in Miracles is so amazing, because it's all about the journey from fear to love, from lack to abundance, from negative to positive, from all of those things, all of those polarities that we have in the world. So realizing that you have the power in your mind right now to create any story, any belief around yourself, around your finances, around your relationships, around your life, around society, around the world, around anything. It comes from here, and you can believe whatever it is you want. So reflect right now. What kind of story are you telling yourself, and is it helping you get to where it is you want to be? If it's not, this is your chance to take radical responsibility, to say, you know what, I need to do something, I need to fix this. And if you're that person, there's a link down below in the description box for a free training all about reprogramming your mind, where I share 3 most important steps and why they need to be done in order to do this. And if you are someone who's already aware and already taking responsibility and already making the shifts, then congrats, because you're on the path. And it's through that constant awareness, that constant checking, questioning, evaluating, is this actually true, or is this just a story? What do I want to believe now? What's going to actually help me move forward? Those kind of questions are what's going to get you to where it is you want to be in a fraction of the time. So back to the book. It says, when you are fearful, you have chosen wrongly, and you must change your mind, not your behavior. And this is a matter of willingness. So you do not need guidance except at a mind level. It's all about the mind. It's all about the mind, baby. Correction belongs only at the level where change is possible. And change does not mean anything at the symptom level where it cannot work. And this is why I'm very passionate about holistic healing and really looking for the root cause of things, because that's where the healing happens. You can't just heal something by looking at the symptom and trying to treat the symptom. You need to know why the symptom's there, what caused it, what triggered it, why does it keep showing up, and heal that part so that the symptom is then cut off. So the correction of fear is your responsibility, and ask for help in the conditions that have brought the fear about. Creating a willingness to separate and be at a level where you can help this. So really looking at, okay, where did these things stem from? How can I be willing and ready to make a change to that place? How can I ask for help? Call upon God, spirit, angels, universe, whatever you believe in, and ask for a willingness to see things differently. A willingness to see things differently, to find some answers. How can I look at this from a different way? Because chances are the way you're currently looking at things is the way you've always looked at things, and chances are that's not getting you where you want to be. So you need to be willing to look at it differently if you want to get to a different place. Today's video is amazing. I love this stuff. I'm so excited. I can't wait to watch this over again. Okay, fear is always a sign of strain arising whenever what you want conflicts with what you do. So fear is just there as a sign or a symptom. It's usually there to tell us something's wrong or something's out of alignment. It doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel easy, maybe. Or it's something new, and it's that fear of the unknown and the change. So really realizing that fear can create constant behaviors and patterns, but it doesn't necessarily mean it's helping us, and it's not necessarily helping us become who we're meant to be or step into our higher selves. Most often fear is limiting us, keeping us small, keeping us playing it safe, where we're not actually all that comfortable or happy. Okay, it says whenever there is fear, it is because you have not made up your mind. Your mind is therefore split, and your behavior inevitably becomes erratic. Correcting at the behavioral level can shift the error from the first to the second type, but will not obliterate the fear. So you need to make up your mind. You need to heal from the root, from the source, which is the mind and the thought patterns, instead of just trying to fix the behavior, but then the root cause is still there. So the first corrective step is to know first that the conflict is the expression of fear. Say to yourself that you must have somehow chosen not to love, or the fear could not have arisen. So realizing that when fear's there, that means love isn't there. And I caught myself in this the other day. I was getting a little bit caught up in some business things and a little bit of fear, maybe a little bit of overwhelm around juggling. What do I do? What's the right thing to do? And then I caught myself and I said, there's no love here. This is all fear. It's all stress and negativity and fear. So how can I bring love in? And how would I act from a loving place? How would I act from, that changes the whole energy and vibration immediately. And the answers just were there. Oh, this is what I would do. This is what feels the best. This is what makes the most sense, instead of all the fear, anxiety, and worry that tends to crop up. So these steps may be summarized in this way. Know first that this is fear. Fear arises from a lack of love. The only remedy for lack of love is perfect love, and perfect love is the atonement. So when you can find that and you get into that place, that is where the miracle comes. And it's really about finding that love and letting go of that fear once again. And you can create true healing from here. It says everyone experiences fear, but it would take very little right thinking to realize why fear occurs. Few appreciate the real power of the mind, and no one remains fully aware of it all the time. We always fall back into patterns. You cannot be 100% aware, but you can practice, you can try, and it will make a difference. And the mind is constantly creating. It never loses its creative force. So realizing that you have so much power. And it also goes on to say that it might make you feel arrogant to believe how much power you have in yourself. But usually we're actually afraid of our thoughts, afraid of the power they might be creating. And so we try to detach or avoid them, or just play it off like it's habit and not in our control. And that's what separates us. But when you start to step into that and take that on as a challenge and a power, a superpower, your thoughts are a superpower. They can create anything you want in this world. So how are you going to use them? So let's go on to lesson 13. That was a long part. Lesson 13 is a meaningless world engenders fear. So it's really around the idea that a meaningless world is impossible and nothing without meaning exists. However, it does not follow that you will not think you perceive something that has no meaning. It's really going on to say, like, this meaninglessness creates anxiety and all of this extra separation. And it's this challenge between God and the ego, and who's meaning, and the empty space and the meaningless, and like what's going on here and what really matters. And the ego starts to create ideas, and it starts to look for stories, and it starts to pull in examples. Well, if it's meaningless, then it brings in fear. Oh, well, then that's why this is happening. That's why that's happening. That's why the world's going crazy. That's why I'm struggling with this, right? It really gets into that negative, anxious spiral. And so it's essential that you learn to recognize the meaningless and accept it without fear. If you're fearful, it is certain that you will endow the world with attributes that it does not possess and crowd it with images that do not exist. So if you are fearful, you are projecting that. You are going to be looking at the world from that lens and picking up what you're putting out. So you are going to see that. You're going to start to see even scarier things that might not really be there, but it's because you're looking for it. You're looking for the fear. So the exercise today is to close your eyes and repeat, "A meaningless world engenders fear. A meaningless world engenders fear. A meaningless world engenders fear." And then you can slowly open your eyes and look about and say, "I'm looking at a meaningless world," because you're living from fear. Most of us are, we all are. So you can repeat this statement, and at the end you want to conclude with, "A meaningless world engenders fear because I think I'm in competition with God." And you might have some resistance to this, but that's just because there is extra fear and there's competition being brought up around being in competition with God. The ego is going to respond to that a certain way. So really just looking at what you truly see and understanding that a meaningless world is creating more fear for you. So give that a try. Let me know in the comments what your biggest takeaway was from this video. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button. I'd love to have you stick around, and you can give this a thumbs up as well if you found it helpful, and I'll see you on tomorrow's video.